You have the eye for human weakness, but not the stomach.
What's this about?
Oh, just a feeling I have.
Ouch. When you get those feelings, insurance companies start to go bankrupt.
What kind of music do you usually have here?
Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and western.
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
Time for Full Court Press with Connor. He has hot takes from In the Paint, tough picks from the top of the key, and the best scoops on the NBA from downtown.
Absolutely love having the con man come on the program and talk NBA. I was literally, before yesterday, thinking, Connor, we might only have this show and one more to go with the OKC Thunder going to roll over the Pacers. We might get an extra show out of this. So your thoughts on just the overview of the game last night, quick.
Yeah, I mean, Cinderella story appears to continue. Indiana's not out of it until they're on the bus on the way back to the hotel, apparently. So unbelievable finish last night.
And we'll talk about the game. I want to talk some other peripheral stuff before we get to the game. Last week, right after the Knicks end up losing in the Eastern Finals, two teams will go further than the Knicks this year. Two. They fired the coach, Thibodeau. Now, we had Thibodeau here. We understand the guy. Is that fair? If I'm not mistaken, the Knicks have their best two consecutive seasons, 50-win seasons. Hasn't happened for flipping ever. Get to the conference finals, and you lose your job? Your thoughts?
Yeah, Al, I mean, we talked about this more relating to Minnesota situation, but the NBA is definitely a what have you done lately for me league. And you might say, well, what he did lately for you is get you to the Eastern Conference Finals. The problem is Thibodeau has gotten the criticism that he plays his stars too much. doesn't really manage their fatigue or their endurance very well through the course of the playoffs and late in the season. And there is some sentiment that the Knicks lost because they ran out of gas. The truth is when you're an organization and you feel like you're right there, you're right on the cusp. A lot of times it's simpler or a safer move to go to someone else to run the ship or captain the ship than it is to, for example, get new sales, or whatever. Analogy would be for trading players.
But let's go down this route then. It's what have you done for me lately? You literally win the championship. You got to the finals last year and they dumped Denver, right? Denver coach dumps out 5 days before the playoffs or whatever it was.
Yep.
So that wasn't good enough for them. Is Finch safe in Minnesota?
No, I don't think safe. No, for sure not.
Really?
Think that,
okay.
I don't know that Minnesota, with the ownership changes and frankly with the fan base probably not being too upset with a couple of Western Conference Finals in a row. I think the pressure is a little bit
bust that down. I don't like you said it. It's probably very true. Minnesota, if you just get the playoffs, we're happy, right? So the fact that we've got Western Conference, look how good we are. Knicks, on the other hand, who never got there and they fired. There is a difference in culture. That might be it. No one's calling. I'm not calling for Finch's head.
Nope.
But is it because I just don't have the expectations the rest of the world does?
You might have these questions on shows like this. Oh, is Finch going to get fired and these types of things? But I don't think you're going to find any real numbers of Minnesota fans or ticket buyers that are like, oh, Finch's got to get gone right now. Now, maybe next season we can't get over the top again, and at that point, maybe Minnesota gets a little fatigued.
And when you say a show like this, you mean an in-depth, quality breakdown of sporting events show. That's what.
Top of the line, ESPN type. Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Stephen A. Smith is on after this. But.
Stephen A. Smith without the language. All right. So I agree with you. Culturally, we're okay. But let's be honest, we're no OKC. I had a guy come on here and talk about the fact that when we play our very best, we can hang with anyone. But we don't play our very best all the time, and OKC is a better team. You would agree with that?
By a mile. Yep.
Sure. So we might win a game against OKC, maybe two, but you're not going to win a 7-game series against them. What does Minnesota have to do? Do we trade? Is it like the players are saying, we just need the gel together? Well, spend your summer together. I don't care, but I want to see the team do better. What is it this team needs?
Well, I mean, the Achilles heel for the Timberwolves this season was the same thing all year long, and that was turnovers. sloppy with the ball and gave the other team 12 to 24 more possessions a game than necessary. Even above the average, you're talking 10, 12 extra possessions for the other team. I would also say, as much as Ant has really come into himself in a lot of ways, especially in the playoffs the last 2 seasons, he is an SGA. Gilgeous Alexander finds a way to get 35, 36 points every single game, and sometimes Ant doesn't do anything in a game. He might miss 9 threes, and he's kind of irrelevant. So Ant needs to take a little bit, kind of a half step, I would say, into, hey, I can be a 28, 32 point per game scorer all the time. It has to become consistent. And sometimes he's just not that aggressive. So I hope he clicks that. Other than that, the turnovers. I mean, and that's a coaching thing. That's a somewhat young team going too fast. That's trying to do too much. That's probably
that's why we have Mike Conley in the game, a young team. The guy is a grandfather, I believe. I mean, he's in the game to do that.
It's true, but he touches the ball. He's 1/5 of the players on the court, but he might touch the ball 1/9 of the time. You know what I mean? So probably less than that, actually, if you really break it down. So
we want to bust that down. We traded up to get Rob Dillingham, right? We wanted this kid. I think he got 5 minutes of playing time for the season or something. I mean, it's nothing. He got nothing. So we haven't developed him. He doesn't know what that's like to go against an OKC defense. Was that a mistake by us? I mean, we have games. You could, are we getting ready for the next move?
It's too soon to know whether that was a mistake or not. The truth is, with those draft picks, a lot of times you could do a lot of things and it still not work out well. So it's hard to say that. I will say there's no reason that an Oklahoma City becomes relevant in a championship team like they have a meteoric rise, and we can't. That's ridiculous. Oklahoma City is no more, and I would say probably a less attractive market for players. Probably a smaller fan base, even, I would guess. There's no reason that other than the fact that we're good enough to not be bad and bad enough to not be good, which Minnesota sports tends to fall into, makes the playoffs and then gets smoked in the first round, and you're just not quite good enough to get. But again, we got Anthony Edwards. Like this, we haven't had no draft picks in the last couple of years. They just haven't quite materialized into a team with the chemistry it takes to win a championship.
Okay, and I would say we were in the playoffs who we were during the year, where mentally, it could be turnovers. I don't disagree on a year-long thing, but mentally we'd have quarters where we just didn't show up, right? We came out of the third and let them catch back up. They'd have a 22-point lead and give it up. That's what happened here. There was games where we just didn't show up to play the ball game, whatever the world of that thing was. And I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's a team scared of seeing an OKC. I don't know what that is, and maybe I can't fix it. But let's just go with the last minute here before the break. A couple of rumors come out that quite possibly we could, and if this, I'm knocking on wood, Rudy Gobert, Rob Dillingham, and a couple other guys off the bench, maybe a trade for KD. I would do it in a minute. You'd get 2 years maybe out of KD left. I don't know what he's got left to tank. But I could see that as a real thing. The other one is I don't think can be true, but roughly the same stuff, maybe more draft picks to get the Greek freak over here from the Bucks.
Giannis, yeah. I don't know how likely either of those are, unfortunately. I don't think either of them probably want to play in Minnesota. Giannis is going to end up in Miami, probably Miami, San Antonio, or Golden State. I think Kevin Durant also might end up in Golden State. So
back at Golden State.
Yeah, I think it's tough to really think that we're front runners for those. But
wait a minute, you say that Kevin Durant could look at us, he'd get the play time, he'd be a big player here, and we are just one player away from going to the finals, right? Could he not see himself getting there with us?
I think
instead of joining Steph Curry, another old guy.
It's certainly more of a gamble, I think, than Golden State even.
Okay.
For him, the Golden State's familiar. They had success. He'd be welcomed back with open arms. Minnesota's kind of a new thing, and really largely more chance to disappoint. Frankly, he would have the expectation you better win a championship with Ant, and if he doesn't, now his legacy's in trouble. So it'd be interesting to see. I don't really think it's a player issue, to be honest. I mean, I think little tweaks here and there, getting a point guard, that understands things, sure, but I think it's a system issue. I think, we can talk about Golden State, for example. Most people don't understand that their offense for all those years was inside, then out, meaning it was always an extra pass. They averaged 30 assists a game, and a lot of it was bunnies. It was finding the guy that's streaking down to the layup, and then when the defense collapsed, popping it out for a three. We're really relying on three-pointers, and when we go cold, we disappear for quarters at a time.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to break. We got to talk about the game that happened last night. Indiana Pacers, if you didn't catch it, beat the Thunder at home. Game 1, 111-110. More with Connor and the NBA Full Court Press right after this.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called DustLock. DustLock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with DustLock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
Don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
We've got on Connor's Full Court Press. Con, let's just look at the NBA, the finals here, and how they got here. Thunder, no problem with the Grizzlies. Thunder go all the way to 7 games with the Nuggets. That was a fun series. But then they had no real problem with us. They're there. The Pacers, having the hard side, they were on the hard side of their bracket, had to beat a number 5 Bucks team with Giannis, take out the number 1 seed Cavaliers, and then take the Knicks. They've had a much tougher run to get here. When you look at the fact they won yesterday, is the East maybe a little closer than we think? I mean, this is the 4th ranked squad going up against the number 1 on our side. Your thoughts, does it change it or not?
Well, I think certainly you could take that two ways, right? The 2 or 3 best teams in the East got beat in the first couple rounds, so maybe the East isn't quite as close as we think. On the other hand, a mid-level team in Indiana, a team that we kind of thought, they're heating up at the right time, but what really are their chances, are continuing to have arguably the best Cinderella run we've seen in probably 20 years. You know, the reality is this is the fourth or fifth game already in this playoffs that they have absolutely stolen with no right to be even close. With 7, 6, 5 minutes left in the game, they're losing by double digits, and somehow they get on a hot streak. They make a bunch of three-point possessions, and boom, the lead's gone, and they hit a buzzer beater to win it by 1. It's incredible, actually.
You're watching the thing last night, and I, again, took time off. And I'm going to watch this game. I want to talk about it. I like defensive basketball. I think both these teams play good defense. And basically, OKC's up by 4-5, getting up to 8, back to 4-5. It's a battle. You get to the halftime, and it's 12 points. And I'm like, all right. And then they battle it up the third. It's halfway through the fourth quarter. They're up 15, and I go to bed. Now, the announcers, God love them, I thought they were just... Don't worry, these Pacers, they always know how to come back. They're never out. I'm like, yeah, you got to say that. Keep people watching. I turn it off. And what do you know? Halliburton with a last-minute two-pointer ends up winning, last-second two-pointer, wins the ball game.
Yep.
I don't think Indiana ever believes they're out of a game. They don't have a clue.
No, and I think that interestingly, you know, maybe this is the flip side to the inexperienced coin. Sometimes you're young and naive and dumb, and you go, "Oh, why couldn't we come back and win?" "Oh, that sounds good, coach. Yeah, just chip away at it." "Oh, yeah, that makes sense."
Coach had a couple of stops and a couple of threes. We're right back. Well, why didn't I think about it? And then they do it.
It's like the pyramid scheme, man. This guy or gal keeps making
getting
me
paid
money.
off.
Yeah, keep making more money. Let's put more in there. You're right until you're wrong, I suppose. And here we are, and they stole a game from the best team in the league by a mile away. That enemy on the enemy turf. So I think Oklahoma City's probably shell shocked. Now, don't be surprised if Oklahoma City wins by 35 this next one as a bit of a
I
revenge
called that
play,
earlier this morning. I said straight up, you watch out. They are not going to let this happen twice in their home. There will be a game tomorrow. But let me ask you this, on the OKC side then, did you get the feeling that they just, we've got this now, we're up against the number 4 seed, it's the East again. Do you feel maybe they walked into it? I didn't think so when they had a 15-point lead. It didn't seem that they were laying up.
No, and I don't even think, a lot of times you see this and, it's a game where one team's up big and then all of a sudden they turn the ball over 4 times or 5 times, or they miss a bunch of shots. The truth is they actually did kind of battle at the end. SGA made some points. Players were scoring, shooting free throws. They kind of slowed the game down. The difference is you just can't keep up with 6,
threes.
And one layup for 3 points and a long 3 and a long 3 and one layup for 3. All of a sudden Indiana, and they've done this before, they just poured in points. And, Oklahoma City, I'm sure, looks at it and goes, wow, we screwed that up. We got to keep the gas down. But the truth is, it wasn't like they just a little bit of an implosion for sure. They were up 15 with 7 minutes to play. But if I look at that as Oklahoma City, I think I certainly look at it on the one hand and say, well, we can keep this from happening again. On the other hand, you at the back of your mind, you go, can we? Because I don't really know what we need to do differently.
What do we do?
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be.
You have to knock them in the face so hard they have to realize they can't catch up. Can't be 15, can't be 20. You got to put 30 on them. But let me ask you, the only people that enjoyed this more than Indianapolis was the NBA. You tell me these 2 small market teams, they made a great game, 1-pointer at the end, might get people to start watching this thing. I tuned it off. I'm sorry. There's no way this was going to end this way.
I think a lot of people did. I keep telling people, well, we couldn't have picked or the NBA couldn't have picked a more marketable and commercialable matchup, right? The two smallest markets that exist are playing each other in June, and but yeah, I mean, if it's going to be 2 teams that just battle, it's going to be one of those weird ones when you look back on past championships and go, what was that again?
Yeah, how did that happen?
If they make it a battle on the way there, that's good.
Well, and now I think we at least get to another Connor at the next week, because it'll at least go that long. It won't be 4 and out. I really thought I could pick 4 and out, but I'm going to go 5 and 1. I think it's a 6-2 matchup. I think OKC wins this thing in 6-2, but that gets us next week. You think that's crazy thought?
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. Don't forget what happened after we beat the socks off Oklahoma City. Minnesota won by 35. That was probably the worst thing we could have done. Maybe we should have tried to win by 4 or 5 instead of
nothing
35.
Nothing the NBA will hate worse if it's on tomorrow night's broadcast, and by the end of the middle of the second quarter they're up 35. There'll be no one left. No one will be tuned in. It'll be terrible for the NBA.
Don't be surprised.
All right. Got to fly, my friend. Appreciate you being on the program.
We'll see you next week, Al.
Connor's Full Court Press on the Al Travis Show.
All the special interest